This morning's guest ambition was to be a bean counter. Tonight she'll serve you a cappuccino. Meet the co-owner of the Italian Restaurant of the Year. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Italian Restaurant of the Year, Villa Romana, at 707 South Kings Highway in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the Italian Restaurant of the Year, actually of the years, and we're visiting with its co-owner, Fran Montrosse. Good morning, Fran.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you for coming in. I say you're co-owner with your husband, Ronaldo.
Yes, I am.
A great friend, a great family friend as you are. And, of course, you and Emma Claire, my daughter, share a birthday, which makes it even more special, which is not too far away, a month from yesterday.
That's true.
A month from yesterday, which is very exciting.
That's true. Yes.
A lot of celebrations have gone on in this building for so many years, and so many families have gotten together here. It must be thrilling for you.
Oh, it is. It is. So we are thoroughly thrilled whenever anyone comes in to celebrate their birthday, their anniversaries, and even had people get engaged here.
And wedding parties after wedding. Yeah. Have you ever actually had a wedding here, Fran?
Yes, we have. We've had Michael Delgado got married here.
Right.
His was the only wedding actually performed here.
Right.
But we have had wedding, rehearsal dinners and wedding dinners here. And people just enjoy it because of Michael and Rinaldo and me, myself,
Well, it's so amazing being in here in the morning, early, obviously, it being 7 a.m. I know you were up late last night, as virtually every night you and Ronaldo are up late. Part of the reason, the thrill of getting you in so your husband could sleep in late this morning. But in here with the fountain turned off and it being so quiet, it's like it's not Villa Romana here.
No, it's a totally different world when there's not all the commotion of the customers coming and Michael playing and it's just so quiet, kind of strange.
When someone hears you say Michael playing, they're thinking of a child playing around on the floor. For viewers who may not be familiar with Michael Delgado, please. You did say that he married here, so they know he's not a child, but Michael Delgado is
the accordionist who plays music here 6 nights a week, and it's Tuesday through Sunday.
Yes.
He plays, and off on Mondays.
Right, so he was off last night, but he will be on tonight.
Oh,
that is wonderful. Absolutely be here, and is very popular. And I think was the Musician of the Year, or won some special award in the Herald's Best of the Year this year.
Yes,
which was very cool.
He did. He was so proud and so happy.
He deserves it, absolutely. And a lot of folks, of course, got out to vote this year, as they have year and year for Villa Romana as the Italian Restaurant of the Year. I know you've had some fierce competition, obviously seeing how the ballots come in for the last few years. Some area establishments that are very popular as well. And you know there are a lot of great Italian restaurants around, but not too many with Roman blood as deep as y'all's. Did you actually meet Ronaldo in Rome?
No. It would have been nice. Yeah. No. Actually, it was in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, come on. Ronaldo Montrosse in Flint, Michigan? What was he doing there?
Well, he came from Rome.
Right.
And his family had settled in West Virginia.
Right.
And his brother came prior to that, and he went up to Flint. And he wanted to go back there simply because he wanted to find this girl he met. And
his brother, Ronaldo's brother. Yeah.
Claudio. And so he talked his brother into moving to Michigan.
Wow.
And he found her and married her.
Claudio married someone else from Flint?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Lydia, yes.
Wow.
And they got married, and then a year later, after he'd been up there a year, I had met him.
You met Ronaldo when he'd already been there a year. Wow.
Yes. he happened to play soccer a lot. Every
Right.
Wednesday night he played soccer with a team.
Right.
And his friend was Greek. And they would go to different Greek restaurants every Wednesday night.
Right.
And one night they happened to come in where I was working. And
A Greek restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was, and they knew my boss.
Wow.
And she introduced me to them, and I actually waited on him, and so she told me who they were, and that's basically how I met him.
And so the boss introduced y'all. Yes, yes. Now,
Yes.
Ronaldo tells a different story, I think, Fran. I've
Oh,
heard this story
really?
before. I could swear there's something with milk or...
Oh, yes, because I waited on him.
Right.
He actually, he asked for a large chocolate milk, which at the time his accent was so heavy I couldn't understand what he was saying. So he, his boss actually had to tell me what he ordered.
Right.
And so he ordered 3 large chocolate milks.
You were kidding.
No, just so I could keep
To
coming
keep you coming back to the table. Wow.
And then he finally, after the 3rd one, he figured he better order something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he did order a breakfast in the
Right.
evening, which
Wow.
was kind of odd.
Yeah.
And
Not too odd. That
but
would,
you
yeah.
know, and so consequently, he asked me for my phone number,
Right.
and I went to my boss and I stated that he asked me for my phone number, and she said, "Oh, you can give it to him. It's not listed, so he won't know where you live." Ah, yeah, that's right.
Right.
So I gave it to him, never thinking he'd ever call, and
Right.
3 days later he did.
Is that right, Fran?
Yeah.
Do you remember y'all's first date?
Yes, he took me to a hockey game.
Oh, come on.
The Flint Generals, yeah.
Wow. Good for Ronaldo.
Yes, he liked hockey, and he thought that would be an interesting date. And,
Right.
and of course, he could not drive because he didn't have a driver's license.
Oh, he'd been there a year, but still hadn't gotten a driver's
No,
license, right?
no. And so he wanted to make sure I had a car. That was his first question he asked me when we...
Other than, can I get some
Get some
chocolate
chocolate
milk?
milk.
Then later on, the first
First
question was,
question.
do you have a car?
Car, yes, to make sure I had a car to pick
Yeah,
him up.
yeah.
You know, so we went out to his friend's restaurant. He took
Right.
me to dinner.
Smart.
It was an Italian restaurant.
Oh, yes.
And then we went to the hockey game.
Now, what was Ronaldo doing at that time? Was he working in a restaurant? Did he have a love already of
Yes,
being
he
in a
did.
restaurant? Right.
He did, and he was working for a Greek family.
Is that right?
Yes, and he loved it. He really loved working. You know, he started out just doing little things, and then as his English improved, because he didn't speak English when he came. And so,
you, I guess, didn't speak Italian.
no,
when
I
you,
did
when
not.
you met Ronaldo,
I eventually did learn that.
Yes, I understand you.
When the first time after I went to Italy, and
Right.
it was very difficult because his 2 sisters lived there and they didn't speak English.
In English, right.
And we had our daughter. She was 18 months old. That was in 1981.
Right.
And I said, and then of course his mother, who didn't speak much English, so I said, I need to learn Italian.
Yeah. How did you
So-
go about learning the language? What was the easiest? Was there an easy
Well,
way to do it? Of course,
no.
you being, as you mentioned earlier, a Swedish German blonde.
yeah.
I mean, just a.
Just,
How
yeah.
did you? How did you learn the language?
Well, I was always around foreign languages, different
Right.
languages, so it helps when you hear different languages,
Right,
whether
right.
it be German, Greek, you know, I've heard Italian, and French. I took French in school, so.
Oh yeah.
And that made it easy. But being around the family that spoke Italian,
Right, right.
that made it really easy. And then his sister, Rosina, she helped me.
Good.
She
Oh, yeah.
she taught me the alphabet, the numbers. Started basic like you would a child, you know.
Is that right? I bet
Uh-huh.
Rosina would be very good at that.
Yes, she would,
yeah.
since she's a Spanish teacher.
Right, right.
And then they had Italian books, so she would have me reading them. And she would sit down every day and read with me. And
Well, I wish I could say I know you're a good Italian speaker. I've been told that you're very good.
I
Fran,
do
I hear
well.
you talking to your husband here in the restaurant. And does anyone else, are many folks in the kitchen, I know there are a lot of Italians working throughout the restaurant, but do you speak Italian in the kitchen normally, or is it principally just with Ronaldo?
Just with Rinaldo
Right,
and
right.
Claudio,
And
his
Claudio.
brother.
Yes.
Lainey, his niece,
Right.
which she had picked up Italian.
Sure.
And
How about Bianca, your daughter?
Bianca, I do.
She speaks
We
good
do,
Italian?
yes.
Good.
And we sometimes all three of us are speaking.
Oh, yeah.
So that
Catch
makes
people
it,
off guard, yeah.
and when we go to Italy, of course,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to. You know, I'm not perfect,
Right.
you know, but I do well, and I surprise a lot of people
Oh,
when they
yeah.
come in the restaurant.
Sure.
And they'll say, I thought this was Italian people who ran this restaurant. And I said, and I'll start speaking and say, oh, yes, my husband is Italian.
Right, right.
I just, you know, happen to be his wife, who's German and Swedish, you know, and acquired the language. And then after I speak with them, I say, I know a little. And they'll say, well, you do very well.
You know a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes me happy that I can at least communicate with them also.
That's
so they
tremendous.
are reassured that it is Italian people who are
Right.
doing the cooking.
Now, did Ronaldo's family in Rome, did they have a background in the restaurant industry, or was it something that he picked up when he got here, or and you and your family?
He
was there-
baked.
Right.
He used to tell me a story
Sure.
where his godfather
Right.
used to bake bread. And that's where he got the love for baking, and then through his mother and father,
Sure, sure.
you know, he really loved. His dad would cook also.
Right.
So
How about your family, Fran? Was that
no.
no one? I mean, you were
No.
working a restaurant, as you said. when you all
Yes,
met.
I did. I was actually going to be an accountant.
Oh,
a
come on.
CPA.
Is
yes.
that right? You were focused on
Yes,
numbers.
yeah, I was focusing on the numbers. That's
Yeah.
what I was actually doing
Right.
when I got out of high school.
Right.
Because it was like a work program where
Sure.
you went to school and then you also worked as that. And I realized I didn't enjoy it as much
Let's
as
go
I
to that.
thought I
Yeah.
would. I enjoyed people.
Right.
So that's why I started working in restaurants, and I enjoyed communicating with them
Sure.
and meeting
Particularly ones with bad
different
English.
ones.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And what you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have brothers and sisters there. I had one sister. She actually had a restaurant.
Right.
She bought our first restaurant that we had in West Virginia.
In West Virginia, after leaving Michigan.
Yes, and since she is single, it's
Right.
been very difficult. So she's no longer in the business, but she
Right.
was at one time.
And your brothers are?
My brothers, I had two brothers. They were both in the Air Force. They were what you would call lifers, you know,
Right. Sure.
professional soldiers, I guess. And I have another brother. He is an electrician.
Uh-huh.
So, and then my sister is an RN.
Right.
And then, of course, my younger one,
You were
who
from
was
a sizable family there, Fran. Is that six?
Six.
Six of y'all. Is any family still in Flint?
Yes, I have my brother, my oldest brother, and my mother.
Right.
They
right.
still live in Flint. My father has since passed
passed
on.
away. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
and he worked for GM. He was a tool and die man. He made the molds. Actually, it was GM. It was Fisher Body where
Right,
he worked,
sure.
and it was the molds that actually made the cars that they would put on the assembly lines.
Is that right? That's
Yes.
fascinating. Did you ever go to the plant growing up or see
We
him in action?
we
Too many
couldn't do
liabilities,
that.
for sure.
We used to go with my mother sometimes to go pick him up, because
Right.
back then you had one car.
Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes my mother would need the cars
Right.
with 6 kids.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we would go and pick her up.
That's it. Now,
You
did
know,
you and Ronaldo
pick
get
him up.
married in Michigan, or did
No.
you all get married in West Virginia?
In West Virginia.
Is that right? He somehow coerced you. You've got to come to West Virginia. You're going to love it in West Virginia.
Yes.
And he didn't know West Virginia well, but he knew
No.
he'd get you there. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he did. We got married in West Virginia.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then we actually, after we got married, he thought he was going to try a different trade,
Right.
you know, and do skilled labor like my father did.
Right.
But he did not like, as myself, did not like working in the factory or anything.
Sure.
So that's when we decided to go back to West Virginia
Right.
and open a restaurant.
An Italian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there in West Virginia. And you
Yes.
all operated that just for a short while.
Yeah, it was about 7 years, 7.5 years.
That's longer
8
than I
years.
thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was 23 when we opened that one.
That's fascinating. So
Yeah.
Bianca, your daughter,
Yes.
Bianca was actually born in West Virginia.
Yes, she
Uh-huh.
was born in West Virginia.
Much of her life was here, but she was born there.
Yes, she
That's
was born
fascinating.
in West Virginia in 1980.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And I think you shared with us earlier this morning, Fran, that the day you all opened this restaurant, Villa Romana,
Yes.
the Italian restaurant, was a special day for her.
Oh, yes, it was actually her birthday, her 5th birthday.
Now, was it planned to be that way? Was it planned to coincide there? Or
No, it really wasn't. It just happened.
Right.
It just happened that way. It just happened, you know. And
Do you remember
so
that
it
first
was,
day? Yeah.
Yes, we were all so excited.
Yeah.
And you know, starting a new business in a new place, you always kind of wonder, how are we going to do? Are the people
Right.
going to enjoy it? Are they going to
Yeah.
love it as much as we, you know, love serving them? And,
Right.
And we were really, I mean, we was pleasantly surprised.
Right. Out of the
how
gate,
much-
the
yes.
acceptance in the community. Yeah.
Yes.
In this building, I believe, actually, we have a guest next week who worked here prior to being Villa Romana. I believe it was a fancy steakhouse, or
Yes, it
well
was,
thought of. Jay Bolts, who I know you've met here, an
Yes.
attorney who worked in the kitchen.
Yes, he did. He told me he started out as a busboy.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was a Ponderosa
Ponderosa,
steak,
yes, very nice.
steakhouse. And actually, when the first time he came to the restaurant, he wanted to go into the kitchen to see if it was the same as when he worked here. And he told us some stories about
That's great.
throwing potatoes.
Oh, yeah, I've
and-
heard those stories.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, I've heard those
Quite
stories.
interesting.
And that's exciting. There was already an establishment. People already knew the location, 707 South Kings Highway. Had been here for a while, which was
Right.
great. And the transition to Villa Romana was... Now, at that time, were you in the front of the house where you
No,
are now, or were you in
no.
the back of the house?
I was in the back of the house.
Right.
I
When you say
was-
back of the house, meaning in the kitchen. Right.
I was helping my husband in the kitchen. I was actually what you would call the prep cook and expediter.
Okay.
I was the one who would get everything ready to be cooked.
Right.
If whatever spices it needed or
Right.
anything like that, I made up all the lasagnas, the manicotti,
Wow.
cannelloni meat. I
Yeah,
did it.
You did
I
it.
did it.
Yeah.
I did it all. And still, before we open, there's things I may need to
Sure.
do. 'Cause
Even now, sure.
Even now in the back of the kitchen.
Right. In the back of the house. Yes,
Yeah,
in the kitchen area.
in the back.
You know, it's fascinating, of course, for viewers who've been to the restaurant, or even go to any restaurant. Are there things that you wish they could see going on? Obviously, they can't be back in the kitchen, but to see the amount of effort that it
Oh,
takes to
yes.
get every meal out. Are there ever
Yes.
times that you wish people could see the amount of time and what all goes on into preparing their meal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they would just be fascinated
Yeah,
with it
yeah.
because a lot of people think you just take it out of something and put
Right.
it together, and it doesn't work that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Especially since we make everything homemade.
Right.
You know.
Everything, yeah.
And we're not making all of these things ahead of time.
Right.
We are preparing them when you order them.
Right.
So it's always fresh. We don't have a lot of leftovers.
Sure,
You know.
sure.
And it is an ordeal. And some people who were in the kitchen when I was working in the kitchen, they see us working, they're just amazed.
Yeah,
at how quickly we do it.
Oh, yeah. It is
Because,
incredible.
you know, people can't just wait around for hours for their food to
Right,
come out.
right,
You have
right.
to give it to them at an appropriate time.
Now, do you? Yeah, I'm sure that it is amazing to see
Yeah.
how you quickly are able to churn things out. Do you prefer the kitchen in the restaurant, or do you prefer interacting? I know you said back in Flint, Michigan, you loved obviously being with people.
Oh, I did.
Figured out that was a love. In the kitchen, you're surely working with people, but not to the degree you are out here.
Right.
Do you prefer it now? If folks were here last night, obviously they wouldn't have seen you in the kitchen.
No,
they would have
they
seen
wouldn't.
you
Yes, they would have seen me in the dining room.
greeting them.
And greeting everyone, seating them, making sure everything's running smoothly in the dining room.
Right.
And sometimes I do miss the kitchen,
Right.
but I still get a little taste of it,
Right.
preparing things
Sure.
ahead of time. I love being out and meeting our customers.
Oh, yeah.
And getting to know them is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Because so many people say you don't get that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of corporate, and
Sure.
we like for them to feel like they're coming to our home and eating.
Right.
And they're all welcome guests here. And we do the best we can to accommodate everyone.
And I think folks really do feel that way.
Oh,
They
yeah.
feel that way partly because you're out here in the front and your wait staff is recognized as a big family there as well. I think they really work with you all hand in hand.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who knew Mama, Rinaldo's mother, who
Mama
was
Lucia.
here when I was in the kitchen, and
Right.
she was out here taking care of everything.
Right, sure, and of course
And-
singing here, doing the Tarantella
Yes,
right
and-
behind us here. I'm sure that's
Yes.
a melancholy experience for many folks who come who haven't been here since Mama Lucia's death, I guess
Yes.
4 years ago.
Yeah,
Three
years.
Mhm,
Yeah,
excuse me, a
3
while
years.
ago.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's tough, but of course her spirit's still here, lives thoroughly, and
yes.
there's still a lot of
Always.
pictures of Mama Lucia
Always.
here. And Mama Lucia, you actually lived with your mother-in-law for quite a
Oh,
while.
yes.
She lived with you and Rinaldo and Bianca.
Yes, she did. She did live with us, and I think that is what helped her, because she outlived her husband by 25 years.
Wow.
And I think that really helped to have the love of the family and
Right.
everything. And I think that helps the elderly to keep going,
Oh,
to feel
absolutely.
needed. And
Absolutely.
There's a purpose for them still, And I was pleased to do that.
Oh, yeah,
for
very
her.
definitely. That was a great relationship to have. And speaking of that, did your daughter ever work in the restaurant, knowing that not only her mother and father were heading into the restaurant, but Mama Lucia, her grandmother, all three of them are heading out every night to head over to the restaurant. Did that ever spurn her to want to be in the kitchen or be in the
Well-
restaurant, or did that spurn her to say, I'll never do it?
It spurred her to say, "I'll never do it."
Oh, wow, really? Yeah.
She is finishing up on her PhD
That's right,
now.
yes,
And
yes.
she's getting it in psychology
Yes.
and in evaluation.
Yes.
And in fact, she works for a company called Serve,
Good.
which is affiliated with the University of North Carolina.
That's exactly
And
right.
it's also affiliated with the federal government. So
Tremendous.
she does evaluations for them.
That is tremendous. And you do not miss accounting, Fran. You are thrilled.
No.
You've really enjoyed the opportunity to
Yes.
be.
I love this place, and I love the people who come in, and I guess because I'm I like to please people
Right.
and make their life easier and make them happy, and when I see that they are, that makes me very happy
Right.
to see them enjoy life.
Those are great words and a great way to wrap. I'm sorry we've run out of time. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Fran.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to a little more Carolina People with the co-owner of Villa Romana Italian Restaurant, the Italian Restaurant of the Year, Fran Montrosse, coming up next. We ran out of time again, whether it was Fran sitting here or Ronaldo here. We would have run out of time. There's so many things you want to talk about. We wanted to talk about the big trip to Rome when the two of them took a lot of area families, area couples over to Rome for 10 days about 2 years ago. We ran out of time. We wanted to get more into some of the thrilling things going on a typical day for Fran and Ronaldo. Ran out of time. But wasn't it fun to hear her talk about the, can I have a large chocolate milk? I mean, can you imagine Ronaldo ordering not only one, but two, and then even a third large chocolate milk just so he could have a chance to find out if Fran had a car and find out if she could pick him up and they could go see a hockey game. Can you imagine those early dates with these two? What a hoot up there in Flint, Michigan. The opportunity to come on the scene here January 29th, 1985. It'll be the 24th anniversary this January, but wait, the 25th, that silver anniversary is coming up January 29th of 2010. Be around. Come on in and check out the restaurant. Michael Delgardo's in tonight through Sunday, Tuesday through Sundays. 843-448-4990. 448-4990. You can visit them online at villaromana.myrtlebeach.com. Fran Montrosse, doing it all every day. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Yeah.